I
Let's
have to
see.
warn you that there might be some like fuckery with Gemma because she is a Velcro dog, and also she has an upcoming dinner time. But I was like telling you about this.
I
Like,
have never heard the term Velcro dog. So intuitively, are you saying clingy or something?
yeah,
Or
she's very clingy. I mean, like you've seen she's a big fan of just being right up on you.
honestly, tonally, it might keep us from existing in a font of pure rage and darkness. So maybe
That's
that'll be
true. Yeah,
good.
yeah. Maybe there'll be some like ridiculous, like, oh, right. This isn't actually.
You know, it might be a good stake setter in
I
terms of
forgot
the.
that none of this is real. There's like a dog here, and that's pretty cool.
Oh man.
So I was up pretty late reading, like finishing the reading last night because whatever my deadline is for anything, the amount of time that I will spend on the thing that the deadline is for, the amount of time I spend will expand so that I am just at deadline when it's or that I just meet said deadline. So I think I finally finished reading at like 4 last night because I kept getting a few pages through and having a thought and then spending way too much time thinking about that thought and then like putting it down in my notes, and then there was 70 chapters of this, so I think it took me longer than it perhaps might have, because like you've seen how I do notes, like versus like you're probably better at notes than I am, but I'm more of a writer than a comedian, right? So I have these mini essays, I guess.
I kind of walk into this with the acknowledgement mentally that anything I would ever type out more than 2 lines is purely aspirational, and my brain will wander over the horizon into whatever part of space this weird Ten Tails beast thing is from. That, out of everything I'm going to say here, isn't so much a shot. I kind of get making it look otherworldly given its function in the plot as reality taking a fat one, but
I think it's kind of busy. Like, I think its design is just kind of busy. It's like obviously I had bigger problems with this whole all of this, but I just thought that the Ten Tails was a little over designed. Is the word I'd use.
You know, I kind of like the style clash, and since I'm sort of short on compliments this round, I'll just stand by the fucking Ten-Tail Beast. Good job, you weird blob. I think, is it a semi-solid? I hope it's animated as a semi-solid. It at least has that look a lot of the time.
I wouldn't know. I don't think I have much desire to go find the anime episodes covering this bit. Should we do the little welcome in right now, or?
Oh yeah, sure. So, if you are joining us for the first time, which I really admire your resolve, you see the words episode 88, you see part 9 of 10, and you say, yeah, let's get right in this motherfucker. So, this is Weeaboo Hell, obviously, anime podcast.
It's Weeaboo Hell.
Yeah, it's Weeaboo Hell. And one thing that we are up to right now, we're sort of finishing this off. This is a tilt at the windmill we began in 2022 before our hiatus. We thought it would be interesting to go back to Naruto, of all things, and try to do just a full recap.
Because we spent a whole lot of time dunking on it.
We spent a lot of time dunking on it, and I think it's also one of those shows where when you talk about it, it's all based on a lot of givens or things you sort of take for granted.
Yeah, just sort of its reputation more than its content. And I don't know about you, I have become extremely, I don't know if you would call it conscious or self-conscious of talking about shit in bad faith, I guess.
I mean, probably one of the better turns in internet criticism has been people sort of getting more aware of, I don't know, coming in with an axe to grind. I guess the way I like to put it, and it kind of changed the way I approached a lot of nonfiction stuff, is it's not a great idea to come into a piece of media or criticism or even political commentary or some shit with the answer.
Yeah, but it is also very, very difficult to clear the slate, I guess, once you already have a an opinion about something. I mean, obviously, things can change your mind, but it's
Oh yeah, I mean, you're not a wooden statue or a Shaolin monk or that neat 40-armed thing that follows Hashirama alive as we just sort of give up on the entire ninja stealth axis thing.
it's I have some stuff to say about that later on.
Fair enough. But the idea is to at least be fucking persuadable.
There's a psychological phenomenon called the anchoring effect, which is, when you spend, however many years with, the Naruto headbands that people would wear in real life and the ninja run being sort of synonymous with cringe, the series perhaps unfairly develops something of a similar association. So I'm like trying really, really hard to just, that's not actually the series itself. That's not part of the series itself.
Oh man. I always remember that fucking sad village thing from middle school.
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm proud of how much better a person I was, or how much better of a person I am now than I was as a teenager.
Alright, so here's a legendary story of good persondom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's share. Let's share. It's sharing time now. You tell the story. I'm not fucking doing it.
It's not that bad. We didn't throw a ninja star at someone or some shit. Alright, I think this must have been... It was an active shooter drill because the planet's great. Everything's fine. It was an active shooter drill. And another weeb, another fucking anime kid, I think there was some vague animosity between him and a friend of ours, had the headband, was going on. I don't even fucking remember what he was doing. It doesn't matter. And I joked to Sam, probably at that non-fucking inside voice volume that someone with my disposition at that age has. Something to the effect of, Sand Village, motherfucker! It comes back to us like 3 days later. That because of that shit, this kid has walked around for 3 days convinced he's going to get like Comic-Con jumped. Which is an amazing idea. Like the idea that... Okay, I am sure there are people who are plugged into that shit to do that. I know that if some kind of bullying situation is happening, people pick any kind of arbitrary length. But when you're a sane human being who also thinks this show kind of sucks, that 1-2 punch really makes it one of the strangest conversations in your life. As you explain to him that no, the 200 chapter ninja war is not something you are going to catch a fade over.
It's going to end up being more harmful to me than it is to him. It has ended up being more harmful to me than it ever was.
I try to portray myself as the reasonable party in the story, but I'm sort of good at shifting POV. And you know what? I kind of get it. The only black person you know. The only black person you have seen in the wild. Says, Sand Village, motherfucker! He had the Konoha thing as the gag, so they had their stupid gag.
The headband is a pretty important element of this particular story.
I guess my point is, you should never severely or arbitrarily punish your children. But lightly, sanely, you should punish them at random.
Just keep them on their toes. Keep them guessing.
Let them know that this is related to what they did, in air quotes. The content will fill itself in later. Oh, man.
It'll give them a deductive mind.
Yeah, you want your kids to be smart, right? You want them to be plugged in. You want them to know what's up.
Make them always wonder. Make them always be wondering what they did wrong.
What they might have been wrong is just taking instrumentality.
All they know is that it was them. They did do something wrong. It's them. It's their fault. They are bad.
Oh.
The rest is up to them to figure out.
They might get really good at context clues or inventing them. That's how guild complexes work. Now, my brain is wandering over the hill and under the horizon, and while I think that will be very amusing, I should direct some of that.
Yeah, it
towards,
could last for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Towards what I guess I call it the Madaring.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Like, I could call it. Okay, I guess technically, as far as the official delineations go, this is still all part of the Shinobi World War, Shinobi Ninja World, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Oh yeah, I guess they call it the Great Ninja War. Or wait, no, that's what they call the thing in the backstory. Fuck it.
Well, it's like there was more than one, and I guess this is just the latest one. Anyway, I guess it's all part of the same super arc, but I'm fine delineating it between pre-Madara and post-Madara and calling the second half the Madara-ing, yes.
It makes sense to me because it is such a hard breakpoint in the Toad pacing focus approach to all of this that even if the events aren't so much a distinct arc, the approach to storytelling and everything is. And I'll put that in without a value judgment and now move into the value judgment and say that it kind of makes me wish I hadn't blown my fucking spine pain angle already. I mean, maybe it's a bit too much hyperbole. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not worse than the time my spine gave out. Because I can't really podcast about, like, my adventure back issues. But Madara at least lets me convert that pain into fucking energy.
Did Madara create energy in me, good or bad? Or did it sap it from me?
I mean, you and I do have very different, I don't know, pain responses, shock responses. I think I really tend to lock into things, and you're a little more prone to going astral. I think that's why it was so distinct to me when I went astral last time.
I mean, you were reading my messages last night as I was finishing up this particular... Like, I was... I don't know if it's a question of given energy or having energy taken from me. More just a... Something has changed. Madara starts out... We're covering chapters... Oh, God, what is it? Like 561 to 430, right?
Exactamunda.
And Madara starts out this round by one-upping Toby's reuse instrumentality plan with his own reuse the colony drop plan. And
yes, he fucking does.
And it's weird because I didn't try to call this. I was fucking clowning. I was clowning when I was like, hey, what if you do like a colony drop too while you're at... But I can't out-clown a clown here.
It is a moment in media history. There is a specific line here that my eyes are drawn to like a nearby accident. And it's when Madara
is it the same
says,
line that I'm thinking of?
We'll see. There are a lot of lines. All of the Madara lines are bad. Like, basically until the flashback where he grows a personality. I have a thing about the flashbacks, and it's way less negative than you might think, by the way. But this fucking line in the present is a problem. After he, again, as Sam said, brings in a colony drop, and the heroes have their nice little moment of stopping one of the fucking flaming balls, he has the line, "But what will you do about the second meteor?"
Okay, it's not the exact line that I was thinking of.
And you know what? I'm gonna move away from hyperbole for once. Because I sort of just blinked at this page. And nothing else. It's like a personal seg fault.
There have been a lot of moments in this sort of last third or so of the series where I'm so tapped. I should have a reaction, right? You know, I should think, wow, this sucks, or wow, this is, this is an unusually bad move.
Oh man.
I don't know. This he does the second meteor thing, and Like, all right, well, he did the second meteor thing. What's gonna happen in the next chapter? Just
We're almost 700 chapters into this comic, and I like to think I have kind of a relationship with it. And I think part of a good relationship is that you give them, the chance to surprise you. You let things feel fresh.
is it a good relationship, Denard?
Dude, I got divorced at 25. I don't fucking know. I'm a member of the Junior Green Card Adventure Club, okay? A relationship, as far as I fucking understand it, is I have with Naruto and the Madara. So I see a line like that, and you know what it's oddly comparable to is, Final Fantasy VII just broadly had a fun story. The set of chapters, aside from this whole Toby flashback thing, are basically its own Advent Children.
That's a really, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it's,
Right? Like, the drift from the point, even the action aesthetic sort of getting off-ramp of what was kind of interesting about the whole fucker in the first place.
yeah, it does in fact feel like a sequel to everything that was happening up to now, with, just some new asshole.
Madara manages to top, by the way, in terms of why won't you let me care? The fucking caked-in game mechanic thing. At least for whatever the demerit of that is for me. Maybe still even more of an automatic also for you. But every line in the vein of, well, I don't really care about this fight, but I can test out some new jutsu. It spams it in the mostly in the first 20 chapters. I don't even know if there was like an editorial note that someone just wrote the words "stop" in a single character on the office wall.
Yeah, he and Toby both do that, and I can't really speak to Madara because Madara's not got a whole lot going on. Kish kind of seems to decide in retrospect what he's got going on with the flashback that he writes towards the end of the chapter, but I fucking looked it up. I looked it up on the internet, and no, he was not writing with any sort of plan in mind. I was right. I was right. Everything that we learn kind of as Kish comes up with it. So there's not much to say about, him in terms of
character, persona,
just anything under the hood besides just a smug condescension and, self-aggrandizing about, how cool his jutsu is and how pathetic your jitsu. Oh god. And like Toby does this too, but like Toby supposedly has this whole thing where he's so full of despair and oh no, the world is so cruel and they're like this it will always be so cruel to everyone and we're all gonna and he's got that happening and he's still just in practice is really kind of just the same brand of smug and condescending as Madara. And
it's that autopilot fucking Demon King attitude thing. There are 2 points. There are probably more or less, but these are just what stood out to me because I am addicted to this fucking close reading idea that they tattooed on my fucking eyeballs when I was an undergrad.
No, I mean, like, me too. I do that with everything automatically now.
2 to 4 sort of small moments stood out to me where they actually had, like, a distinct personality that remained villainous or whatever. After his little reveal of his backstory, the whole sound thing's one of the better stretches of this, but we'll give that its own time. Yeah. I just noticed that for one bit, he sort of shaves the self-esteem off of Toby's routine.
Oh, yeah. No, I was
Sad Sack Toby actually works better. I know we've made fun of that kind of behavior on this before, but that's because it often feels arbitrary.
No, it works. It works for...
Yeah, it works there because it lines up with his place in the world, his actions. It's actually kind of an amusing contrast to his fucking teleporting, reality undoing nonsense. Because ultimately, the lesson he's even just going for with this character is, even if your life shits itself in the most kind of arbitrary feeling manner impossible.
If the world contorts itself to shit on you.
That does not mean that you should become a fucking latrine. That does not mean You should become a septic tank, try to rise above or whatever. Fine theme. It actually resonates for a second there.
Ultimately, I think that this span of chapters is, on the whole, better than the last span of chapters. There's still so much that
So this is a cool personality test to me. Because I actually dislike this more than the last set, but I think it's a bit of taste in terms of, I think the disassociation with the wall of meaningless zombies might hurt your personality type more. It's closer to that sort of video game meaningless kind of thing. Whereas the gotta keep Roman strong thing around Madara paves over so much time and content and potential purpose that
Oh, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I fucking hate that. I don't have words for how much I hate that. I was just thinking about how many chapters in this span of 70, right? How many of these chapters are decent ones versus the last 70? And I think the number is just higher just because of, for whatever reason, and I guess we'll get into it, there are...
Well, a lot of the fucking pointless bullshit is people that are now dead twice, so they can't take up space.
Yeah, they're like, I think they die like halfway through this bit.
Also, if we were to compensate for our own foibles, I almost question if our hatred of Deidara borders on the irrational.
I didn't even... I didn't know how fucking good I had it, man. Don't it always seem to go, Denard?
Before I lose it, the bit where Madara felt like a distinct character for a second was also another flashback bit, which is just when he is introduced as still an old man, and his attitude is something on the line of, well, fuck that up. You any good at chamber pots, kid?
I had a thought about just when he is introduced as an old man, and he's you know, we've been talking about characters who make the entire property worse just by...
He has a Sheev crane, oh my god.
He looks like Sheev! He looks like fucking Sheev!
All time is collapsing into itself.
Like, oh god. Oh wow, maybe there is just one character that exists in some weird astral sort of dimension, and it sort of manifests itself in various media, and the writers of these media are unaware that they are being affected, that they are...
Oh my god.
This thing is coming through from the other side through their pen.
The United Metatextual Sheev. This is the greatest theory I've ever heard. Dude, after this goes off air, I'm going to try to draw the diagram of the... I don't call that the United Sheev theorem, the universal Madara principle.
You and I will have to spend some time thinking about where else he has shown up throughout history.
Oh, man.
I think he is trying. I truly think that he is trying to enter our world. This is the only avenue that he has right now.
And before that point, and after that point, just whenever he's not in a flashback, I just keep on thinking, you know, I'm not a prude. This isn't even a prudish comic. You have all the fucking hot girl no jutsu things that Naruto and I forgot his ankle biter's name. Konohamaru. Keep pulling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? If you want to establish this tone, if you want to establish this content, if you want Madara to behave like this, be treated like this, you can just draw Madara jerking off. You can just do it. Just do a Homelander thing with it. This is how you tell me he's a sick and twisted dude. He's just looking over the ninja war and going, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be brisker.
Yeah.
You don't have to fucking pave over your own theming with the five Kage having the most embarrassing showing I've seen this side of Yamcha.
Like, when have you had a moment that's supposed to be a, oh hell yeah, the good guys moment, where you were more convinced that, oh no, they're about to fucking jaw? Because the panel of all the five, you know, Gokage, you know, just doing their little Super Sentai, like, let's get him.
Oh man.
And I'm like, oh wow. At least 3 of you are probably actually just going to die. Like, not end up on the 10-10 fan. I mean die.
For the first time, the 5 Kage are united. And that doesn't work for me, brother. So there was actually a page you extracted. I don't know if I'm jacking your thought here. There's a page you extracted where Tsunade goes on this very enthusiastic, if elaborate, rant about how she is the one exception to the white mages stand in the back rule because she has this unlimited regeneration form or some shit.
Yes.
And it practically teleports to her being impaled.
Yes, and she immediately just giant fucking spike through her chest.
The spike through her chest. She looks like a fucking scarecrow slumped over. It is kind of majestic in a way. Like, when you're trying to sort of get to achievements in feeding Madara, in general jobbery, in undermining the together everyone achieves more thing that sort of beats within this.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the ever-present Kishimoto gender watch. That panel is kind of singular.
It's almost my favorite panel. It's almost my favorite panel in this latter half of the series, because obviously my favorite panel in the first half of the series, and probably the entire series, is the 10-10 fan shot.
That thing is so fucking good.
I don't know of one I like more than that one. Like, even the good panels. Even the good panels of a good thing happening, I still did not get quite as much stupid joy.
That thing.
Or I did not get as much joy as I got stupid joy out of 10-10 didn't even get to job on camera.
I mean, that image is psychologically my anchor for the concept of being off-screen. Like, that's what I see in my head.
Yeah.
It's just someone slumped over that fucking fetch.
It looks like that. The strongest competition comes of this span. It's not the Tsunade impaled shot, although, man did it make a run. They made a playoff push with that one, certainly. Yep. It is Kabuto declaring that he's a fucking dragon now.
Okay, yeah.
Screaming like an insane person. Having just declared that he also has Sage mode.
It's like Kabuto heard us talking shit last episode. I was thinking, like, I'm a fucking dragon!
I'm a fucking dragon!
He even grew a personality in the fucking flashback.
I don't hate his backstory. I don't hate the identity crisis thing. You could do something interesting with that with a villain, but Man, if he's just gonna be the same sneering egotist as like every other bad guy in this, then who the fuck cares?
I need you to think of all the bad people you've ever met or read about. Just all the concepts of a bad guy floating around a typical brain. It's not all one dude, right? Like, it's not one person that talks the same way or even has the same kind of arrogance. You know, some arrogant people just sort of roll their eyes, don't even drop a line, just move through the world basically on mute because they don't think that you have anything in your head that could process their holy thoughts. You know, there's variation. So I don't know, again, yeah, the way you put it, why it's all the same one beat of sneering egotist.
There's a spectrum.
It's to the point where I start thinking, Jesus, give one of them a fucking accent. How old is Madara? Just throw some fucking Forsooth shit on him. I don't care. Just please.
Oh, yeah, I had this weird thought last night about accents or whatever. And I remember, I grew up with the dub, right? It was on Toonami or whatever. Yeah, everyone sort of remembers Naruto's voice actress. Pretty like iconic. Well, I don't know if it's well remembered, but it's like, or maybe it is, maybe it isn't, depending on who you are. But definitely like well remembered in terms of you remember it, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know, just when I read how his dialogue is translated, right, and sort of the and it works, Naruto's, I have this feeling that Naruto should sound like he's from Philly. This is completely vibes. This is 100% vibes, but I don't know, I feel like he should have kind of like a South Philly, like Broad Street kind of accent. probably sound more like his voice is already broken.
I think that's a fine casting. I'm a big
Like, this is a guy who climbs lampposts.
Oh my god, it's always sunny in Konoha. Does Philadelphia have the Will of Fire? Because it's not New York.
Yes,
Like, this
yes,
is like,
they have
we're
the
in
will
fucking,
of lighting cars on fire.
We're in fucking Sound or Sand Village over here. It's weird, but I like your theory. In terms of priority, I'm a believer in triage. There's some damage control to be done here, and I don't care what accent you fucking slap on Madara. Anywhere from fucking Beijing to London, just something, please, for the love of fuck.
I love a left fielder. I would super enjoy a left field option here and just give him some wild ass fucking, I don't know, like Portuguese kind of deal.
Fuck it, Brazilian Madara, I'm in.
Wait.
Oh, imagine all of the fucking mid-battle troll speak is in that League of
that
Legends
be his
voice.
evil laugh. Like, it's a... Or, like, one of the thing... You know how sometimes you'll have characters in anime manga who say the exact same word at the end of every sentence?
Big quiz tag.
Yes.
Small thing, just gonna forget it. I think one of my favorite things in the entire One Piece spectrum is that he bothered to give everyone their own dumb laugh.
Oh, yeah, no, it's phenomenal, and I will see ha 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 at, just at you at Morgan sometimes.
It's quite nice. I'm glad that's a chart in his home. In terms of the...
It's not a chart in his home. He has said on record that when he forgets something, he goes to the wiki.
Incredible.
He just...
It must be nice to be born in your perfect moment.
What a champion. That's probably what the 100th episode is going to be about, folks. It's probably going to be a Sam was wrong about One Piece. Or not wrong, but like Sam was... I don't know, Sam's got egg on his face about One Piece.
Man, it's like there was a fucking intel leak and I was a deep state fucking plant for 5 years.
I feel so silly. I feel so silly with how adamant I was about the fact that I was never going to watch it, and why would I ever, like, oh, no, I'm never going to be in that place. No, I was in fact going to be in that place.
I agree with you, fellow pirate hater. Please, speak directly into this microphone. One thing I wanted to get at...
about ninjas, not pirates, right. And I want to say something about Danzo, because we were talking about Kabuto, right? Mm-hmm. And Danzo ends up being a part of Kabuto's backstory, and, the guy sort of at fault, really, for, Kabuto kind of going down the path that he did, having the circumstances happen to him that happened.
Yep.
I wasn't sure if I liked Danzo when he was introduced. He felt very much like who's this look, just like, would someone just fucking gat him already? But I am becoming more and more convinced that they actually wasted him and that he should have been the main antagonist of this series. Like, it's genuinely fascinating to learn that he's basically the cause of half the problems everyone's dealing with, and yet Kish seems just so much more interested in whatever fucking Toby and Madara are doing. And it's like, you wrote a story about ninjas, guy. Why is an undead wizard the main antagonist? You have this great paranoid reactionary spy master who causes problems by trying to solve them, and that's great. That's like that. I don't know.
It's a problem unique to things that have this sort of long form myth arc. Like, this is definitely a 700 chapter comic thought, at least from my perspective. To have introduced just a character that does slot right into this story is basically about this class of people are not living weapons. Society wants them to think about themselves that fucking way, right? That's the entire Naruto thing.
Yeah.
And they aren't. And Danzo is someone who heard the memo, "You are a living weapon," and he looked at that World War I recruitment poster and said, "Oh, Captain, my fucking Captain. I am ready. I am in. I will teach so many kids how to Allahu Akbar themselves."
It's tragic. It really is. It's like...
I think another thing, one reason that we underrated Danzo is that we're not perfect people. Well, obviously. But we're not perfect people. And I think that he is essentially solid character writing around annoying events. And even if your concept is solid, my primary association with him at first is one of those Sharingan on Sharingan reality reset festivals.
This is true, yes.
And that gets grating. And I guess also because his combat gimmick ended up being Sharingans in the first place, it also gets filed in with fuck in my head.
Swear to fucking God.
But that's not really,
The further away from physical objects, I guess, the magic system gets in this thing, the less I fucking care. Like, here's Shino, he has bugs. Here's Gaara, he's got sand. Here's Yamato, he's got trees. Cool. On board. Love it. Makes sense. Can grok this. Here's Sasuke, or Itachi, or Danzo, or Madara, or Tobi, or Kakashi.
With the world's strongest contacts.
And, like, man, like, you better sit down, because it's gonna take some time to explain what exactly they do. And I don't want to have to... I don't know, it loses me so fucking quickly. When it becomes necessary for Itachi to expound on the intricacies of, like, the Izanami and its game mechanics. And who is this for? Like, I'm literally an autistic sabermetrics baseball nerd, and I love systems and subsystems, and I can't stop talking about them. And God, you should have been there the week that I discovered the stock market.
Oh man, that was a trip.
And if anyone should be getting anything out of the fucking Byzantine magic system, especially the ones surrounding Sharingan and all the fucking that particular skill tree, it should be me. But brother, I do not even begin to care about any of it. There is no entryway for engagement. I don't give a shit. It's not interesting.
I have a parallel theory, maybe different problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read a lot of this shit. I read a lot of every shit. I'm smarter than you. So I read a lot of stuff, and I've realized that I've come at so many action series from many different angles and been almost more forgiving of bigger foibles in some situations. And I think for me, there's kind of a purity thing to two approaches, and I think that Naruto gets tripped up by muddling them. You can totally get away with the most marginal speed chess thing if you just commit to it, render it well and briskly. You could totally get away with just making shit up. Chainsaw Man keeps telling you there's a combat system. No, there fucking isn't. Shut the fuck. You could totally do both of those things. Naruto, in its worst action moments, I won't be a dick and say it always does this. Sometimes he cures himself of this syndrome. He's like a guy in a fucking hospital bed when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
But in its worst moments, it will either make shit up in the middle of a speed chess match or slow down making shit up to try to throw in some speed chess, and it always drags one to a screeching fucking halt. Example, the thing we shit on so much, the 3 Sharingan-offs. Do you know what the 14th worst thing about those is? We have
Why don't you tell
this
me?
whole information match. Fine. This set of 3 powers that they're basically bouncing off each other like fucking ping pong balls. Fine. Each of them ends with them just introducing a new reality reset button, leaving me screaming the words fucking why. Fucking what was the fucking point?
It's almost like a poorly written detective story.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going to write a detective story, right? Then you need to have the mystery be, at the very least, you could make an educated guess and be right about it based on the evidence that is presented, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the twist is that there's a different context, that you were not made aware of, or there's like one piece that, but like you should be able to. It's fun to be able to figure out, that's part of the draw there. So when you spend all this time going over the various rules for how this Sharingan off is gonna work, and then okay, so within all of this, who's gonna be able to come out on top, and then actually no, here's some new thing. Here's some new thing that one of them is gonna bring into it. So it doesn't actually matter. None of that shit matters anymore. Bleach is very guilty of this too. Just here's this new thing. Like, oh, you thought you had me, but like, I'm going to unlock a completely fucking out of left field thing right now that has zero to fucking do with anything that we were just.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hear the counter. I see the email. Okay, well, it's just fast and loose. That's fine, right? Sure, when you fucking stay there. But here's an example. In fact, plot-relevant example, because we're talking about this whole fucking swath of chapters here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neji's death, which I have other fucking problems with, let's focus on this combat system thing. You have this moment. You visually render this thing. And then you fucking spin into diagrams about how this heroic sacrifice works.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'm looking at this like, are you a fucking alien? You could have put his tax report here. And undermined this moment less.
His fucking Ninja W2.
His fucking Ninja W2. You could have put the full text of your fucking in-universe bingo book here. And it would have jerked me out of this moment less than... I think one of the real death knells for any 3-chapter stretch in Naruto, this is my private theorem, whenever the little battlefield map, like... You know that thing in Tetris, the T-block in Tetris? That's on Battlefield, strategy games, maps, Kessen, Dynasty Warriors, all that shit?
Yeah.
Whenever those pop up over a map, you are fucked.
You're so like wow, you've lost me entirely.
It is so over when those come up.
There's some stuff about Neji that I want to get to, but I do want to get to it in order because man, I don't want to miss or I don't want to let anything go, what would you say, unexcused here?
Fair enough. You want a complete prosecution here? Or you want to get all the charges on board?
Yeah, I want to be a completionist about this. Alright, Ito Tensei, right, gets reversed because Tachi managed to convince Kabuto, whatever. But Madara needs to stick around.
Yep.
Okay. I hate it, but okay. Is it supposed to be impressive to me that he just happens to know how to excuse himself from re-dying? You know, just like, oh, he's so cool that, you know, the spell ends and he's still there. Is it there to make him feel like a little more legitimate threat? Why? Why, Quiche? Were you not confident enough that having him spend the last 30 chapters swinging his fucking dick around at the Gokage would do the trick? Like, God, I wonder the fuck why.
There used to be this sitcom gag where on a date, a clueless or poor-to-do guy would crack out his fucking coupon book and wait for her to be swept off her feet. This is a gag from another generation, obviously, because coupons imply that corporations aren't here to choke fuck all the money out of you possible. But my thoughts on contemporary economics aside,
I think that they've been replaced with free trials.
Yeah. Madara goes on his rant about, I expected a full Rinnegan, whatever, Rin Rebirth fucking non-Edo Tensei revival, but this will have to do, and then unseals the thing. He expects, again, cranking out the coupon book, but it's a plot coupon book. And a little bit of an action blocking thing with the whole Edo Tensei thing, and the Gokage just eating it.
God.
And he does this...
I'm so angry on Gaara's behalf, especially.
He does this thing where he textually lays out that the Edo Tensei thing gives him the advantage of his body bouncing back. And happens about twice or so, like he gets particle lasered or whatever. Mm-hmm. What if instead of making every member of the Gokage look like the most worthless asshole possible, after going on their grand speech and have faith in us, the representation of this united ninja world or whatever, in this thing that's about that having some kind of value... If he has an immortal zombie body that just bounces back, just pop his head off every 4 pages. That's the threat anyway. He's outmaneuvered God or something, and now he just has a fucking Chia pet body. That's a thing you can do.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. What's bothering me?
Granted, I am biased because since I hate Madara, sort of seeing him suffocated in sand about 4 times over on loop is kind of okay with me.
That is fun.
I'm gonna draw... In fact, look back to fucking Naruto's 4 beers. I don't know if you ever watched as much of Z, Sam. Did you?
Watch as much which?
Of Z?
I did not, no.
I think one thing it did pretty decently is sort of the doomed battle. Where it's like a guy who can't win, but can he do something cool on the way or whatever?
Okay, yeah,
Like, I
absolutely.
remember there's always this old viral clip of this one guy who had been out of the relevancy meta of that fucking comic forever, Tien Shinon, bald monk guy,
Yeah.
spams his one high DPS move that drains a bit of his, like, balls or blood or life or whatever with each use, and just pushes the main antagonist, who's not gonna die here, just deeper and deeper into this hole. There's a way you can still feed someone to fucking Roman and get a match out of it. And that's sort of what's missing from the whole Gokage thing.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it's not. I because I knew that they were doomed from the start. I wasn't even really thinking about how you make that work. I was just thinking about don't have them be doomed from the start. Like, what if you didn't feed them to
Well,
him?
you're introducing like
I
germ theory to the plot problems here. I'm sort of
Yeah.
weighing different like types of leeches and thinking, oh, this one can.
It's weird because I usually am thinking about how to fix something. Okay, here's the thing that I was thinking about how to fix, right? Which is Edo Tensei ends, Madara's still alive, right? Here's what I figured is how you make that work, right? Madara wakes up, right? He's alive now, takes in the situation, realizes that he's been brought back, albeit temporarily maybe, with Edo Tensei, but he is a bad enough dude to retain control over his actions. Fine, whatever. All right, I'll buy that. Like he's because we already have seen that if you're a bad enough dude, you can do that. Itachi's a bad enough dude. If he's the main antagonist, sure, fine, he can do that. Fine. He still knows about some loophole that he can use in case someone ends the jutsu. But in this version of things, it actually requires him to go do something, like get a MacGuffin that'll let him stay alive, or
Oh
maybe
yeah,
after
some stakes like a ball that they could be trying to keep away from him.
yes, or like maybe you alter Edo Tensei's like if someone kills you, then the jutsu doesn't end rule to include a clause like, but if one of your zombies kills you, that ends the jutsu and he gets brought back for real. And then depending on which one you want to do, either he immediately gets the fuck out of there and grabs the MacGuffin before Itachi gets Kabuto to chill, and maybe he kills a couple of the, and maybe he kills a couple of the Gokage when they try to catch him, just like, yeah, this guy's dangerous. He will kill a Gokage, right? Or he immediately gets the fuck out of there and makes a beeline to Kabuto before one-shotting him. You end up with the same end result, right? Zombies are gone, Madara stays, and as a bonus, he gets to look like a threat without spending 30 chapters fucking grandstanding about it. Or pulling some fucking bullshit like, actually, I'm so cool that I knew like the little trick that you needed to do in order to stay
Dude, the
alive.
four layers of everyone shitting their pants at his presence, him talking about how shitworthy his presence is, 5-panel spreads of waste declining from the heaven. It's just, yeah, it's a bit too much, and there is something to seeing even a villain like struggle a bit to make their fucking thing work. I always remember. Did you read Steel Ball Run?
I never read Steel Ball Run. I stopped at I think I read up to the end of part 5.
Up to part 5. That's fine, because Diavolo has a motherfucker of a time getting himself in place in that. And you get to see his thing, and it establishes him as a threat, as while trying to just put out this fire that won't go out, he face rolls like 4 high level guys or whatever, right?
Yep.
And I guess that is the feeling that's missing for the Madara thing. He is just being pointed at with the words doom in that little Invader Zim sing-song voice from the jump.
It becomes very obvious when you're reading this that it is a priority to Kish that you take Madara seriously, and that is what you get from his attempts to establish Madara's credibility rather than any credibility. Just that Kish wants him to be credible, not that he is credible, you know?
Exacta fucking mundo. And it's such a black hole that I've barely talked about the Naruto B versus Toby kind of fight.
Oh yeah, that fucking happened. There's just so much like one fucking set piece after another in this arc that I forget about entire like multi-chapter long battles because they just move on to the next one, and it doesn't feel like they really move into one another. It just feels like they happen one after another.
You have a good point there. I think it's partially a symptom of decompression works very well through like a single through line. when there are four simultaneous high stakes battles going on at the same time, either something gets lost in the wash or you're going to be there for some time. And it might be better than the world where one of these just had no presence, but we are there for some time. The Naruto on Toby fight.
Wait, which Naruto on Toby fight?
Toby is standing behind his zombie Biju. And there is a really funny line in terms of the inflation in this, where he says, hold on, let me... Alright, I'm having trouble finding. I'm just going to paraphrase here. Okay. So each of these guys is a tailed beast host, but they also have a Sharingan and a Rinnegan, and each of them is a gold medalist, like Simone Biles, a veteran. Also, they're as fast as Usain Bolt, and my mom says that you have to let me play, so these are my super-duper indestructible friends.
Fuck, I want to reiterate the email inbox metaphor from last time, because, yes, I remember the scene that you're talking about, and it just does truly fucking feel like it's a Monday, and Madara shows up like this giant fucking project from your boss, and then all of the fucking Biju appear, all of them with urgent in the subject line. I just feel like, man, I know how much older I'm going to be once I'm through all of this. That's the only thing that I feel right now, is just exhaustion.
Exacta fucking mundo.
And also, yes, like, and my powers that I can have any power I'm not going to try to do the Cartman voice. I'm not very good at it.
It's the free association thing, and then they add this beat of, they can't access all of the Rinnegan powers at once. Why even staple into the situation? You just realized there was too much shit.
God, he's so fucking good at that. I have more thoughts on that. We'll probably get to it towards the end here, because it's actually fun. It's actually really fucking funny after a point.
It is deeply funny. I think I've been dancing around a point. Because the problem it's not really hilarious, and it's not deep. I'm just kind of tired of fucking Itachi now.
I guess I get that. To me, it's like, he was there with Sasuke, and Sasuke was behaving somewhat fucking tolerably, in their interactions.
Oh, did you like that he had a character chaperone?
He has a handler now. He's got a minder, who's like holding like the little like leash that you put a kid on. Sasuke is... I don't necessarily hate Itachi's sort of reintroduction here. I'm just... Yes, the Edo Tensei is bad call on the whole, right? But like, here everyone is, right? Here everyone is, okay. I'm just grateful, I suppose, that Sasuke is not a screaming asshole in this particular span, or he actually like just kind of stops being a screaming asshole. And I guess if that's the character development that we're gonna get from him, and it is facilitated by Itachi being there, then like, okay, man, all right, fine, I'll take it. Thanks, Itachi. Thank you. I was so fucking annoyed.
He comes into this set of chapters with some screaming asshole intent, and I was ready to descend into the pain zone, because I remember he comes in this wordless panel, or maybe one word, with this villainous sneer, with like the smile of someone that left a fart in the elevator and is watching the doors close behind him.
Oh, just when he gets like an entire page at the end of that one chapter. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then he finds Itachi running into the woods, and there's this switch that's flipped, I guess, to just the Rattata kid from the early Pokemon games. And it really says how much I fucking dislike Sasuke. That what amounts to almost a derailing... Assassination is the wrong term, but just benching of someone who is this primary driver of this series. To like one of your two Mass Effect attendees, essentially. Like Itachi's playing this game and Sasuke.
Oh yeah, the fucking Orochimaru becomes the second
Yeah.
one. Itachi, gives him the lowdown, right? Gives him the lowdown on what really went down that night, right? And Sasuke, he's given pause. He is given pause by what Itachi tells him. But he doesn't understand that, a nation's government and its people are two discrete entities. So, in search of some truth, he pulls Orochimaru out of pedo snake hell, like just because he really needs to consult a straight talker on this one. Like that Sasuke's a smart boy.
But he needs some wisdom. You summon Orochimaru.
We need someone to tell you the truth.
Who, I don't know, he's gonna tell you something once he gets out of that orphanage, but he's gonna take a while in there.
I should give some flowers to the band of the Haka here, mostly the water guy, because I've come out against the sort of quip proliferation right before, but there is something deeply refreshing about all of this bullshit going on and just a couple of guys being like, well, this is fucking weird.
I mean, I don't think you can throw out an entire like narrative tool or concept because too many Deadpool movies have come out the last 4 years. I think that there's a time and place for that kind of thing, and I think the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern seat is eternally open.
Yeah, you can have
those two
that.
occupy for the right amount of time. I'm glad it spares me Jugo fights because his powers suck.
Which one's Jugo?
He's the mutant guy that stands next to Waterboy.
Oh, the Krungly guy. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I never bothered to memorize their names. They're Water Guy and Krungly guy.
Krungly guy, his whole thing was idolizing Kimimaro, whose gimmick was... His gimmick was that he has cancer. He's really good at the martial arts stuff, but this isn't something that matters. I'm just kind of thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
We have this character in Kimimaro whose whole thing was he was essentially really good at fisticuffs, which are sort of tied to this concept of hard work in Naruto or whatever. But we're told he's really this gene bomb, but his power kind of sucks, so it just looks like he's good at kicking people.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interestingly muddled kind of thing to me, just semiotically, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
He is our ultimate weapons. He just kicks someone in the face. Well, I mean, that's hard.
It can be impressive, I guess. With like look at Guy, not Lee. Fuck him, I guess. Just Guy. This is about the point in the manga where we get to a chapter that I really would like to talk about, because I guess I'll explain.
All right, I'm locked. I'm loaded. I'm ready. I'm at bat.
The Obito reveal chapter is so fucking good. Like, in isolation, it is such a perfect, like, oh shit chapter. And, like, even not in isolation, like, the little bit of telegraphing that Kish did in the chapter right before when, like, he makes, like, cryptic comments to Kakashi, and Kakashi's like, oh shit. Like, that was enough to make it look, believable, as opposed to just shocking, right? And so this chapter, right, there's not a single word of dialogue, the entire thing. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because the pictures tell the whole story perfectly. You feel the pathos in pretty much every moment. It's delightfully easy to follow, and I've had favorite panels up to now, as discussed earlier. This is my favorite chapter of the series, and I'm pretty confident that it's not going to get unseated in the last 70 chapters. And Kish, where was this? Where's this been up to now? Where have you been hiding? Where have you been hiding this for the last 598? I counted chapters. Like, if you knew how to tell a story without pages and pages of people yammering on, then why the fuck didn't you? Kish, what the fuck?
This chapter, as I was marching closer and closer to my heart stopping beating forever, the fucking Pulp Fiction IV needle just jammed into my ribcage of that chapter being as good as it was notable. If you are listening to this and assuming I am a huge hater, you are correct. You are a good listener. You are paying attention to the themes and messages that I am putting out. That chapter is great. Yeah. I wish more of Obito's behavior presence, decision making, etc. throughout was informed by this.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And not necessarily in like
100%.
some kind of like plot lining up thing, though obviously that would be nice too, but yeah, whatever. Dickens, things happen. But I even just mean that it just feels distinct. There is a distinct tragedy here. This is someone who tried to walk around saying believe it, and the universe said, fucking no, you don't. Believe this, bitch.
Believe she.
Believe Sheev.
I mean, it goes without saying that I so deeply resent Quiche going back and writing Madara into Obito's backstory so he can play Madara's been, like, the source of all of this the entire time.
It is pathological.
You know, if Toby was behind the Akatsuki and Madara was behind Toby, then that means that No, fuck you. Hey, I see you. Fuck you. You don't get, no, you're not, no, you cannot. You did not see this.
In terms of space in the plot, by the way, Madara and Toby spend the last 30 pages of this little segment standing next to each other, doing the same shit. What if? I know, I have my Pixar edition, but people are stepping on each other's toes like nothing else in this comic. It is a villainous version of the whole Guy Lee thing. If Madara has to absorb interest, traits, whatever from other characters, sorry, just let Toby be the driver, because you actually hit something I cared about mentally there.
Yeah, and for a second after the reveal, he's he starts to actually click for a bit. Like once the smug grandstanding just ends, and he's just angry and wants to fucking kill Kakashi. I'm like, all right, there we go.
Yeah, punish Toby is a better mode. It just works better. Yes. It's more understandable. There is only one real unfortunate beat of Punish Toby where I just sort of thought it was done for a second. But it's more of just a funny line writing thing. He starts saying, Naruto, you're a lot like me. I can read!
It's like, yes, I know. You are yet another foil. You are not another villainous foil to Naruto.
You have his haircut. You don't need to tell me.
I saw the bit about you wanting to be Hokage back there. And I did pass middle school English, thank you.
I don't know who the person is who has reading as a hobby who was confused. It leads me to two theories. One a snark thing, one an actual thing. First off, I think that Toby has the power to textually and canonically revise the plot. The number of grand status quo resets we just have introduced by Mask Boy is notable.
Okay. I was saving my notes about this particular phenomenon for like the end of the episode, but I could comment now if you'd
like. Go for it.
Because there's Toby, right? Mm-hmm. Or Obito. I don't know. I at this point, I just start calling him Obito because, like, okay, fine, he's Obito. And just later on, when they have the conversation with all the past Hokage, right? And the second Hokage is talking about, how there's this thing with the Uchihas where if they feel love, then it turns them into psychos. And I'm like, yo, my boy, he did it again. Fucking Quiche did it again. He overplayed his hand with Obito's whole Phantom of the Opera thing with Rin, and he realized that he had to write an in-universe explanation for how a dude could be down so fucking bad that he'd flip from I'm gonna be Hokage and I love my friends and my mom and I love Jesus to like this world is a meat grinder and all this are mealy fodder like that, and it's fucking masterful. It's masterful. Like, God, what have I been wrong? Like, does foreshadowing really need to come before the thing that it's foreshadowing? Like, why? Why? Says who? Who creates these silly rules? Like, this is fiction. You can do anything. What's wrong with putting the foreshadowing after the plot point? Are you a cop?
Who needs linear time when you can revise someone into a retroactive incel?
And then he does it again. To reverse it like, actually, no, it's not about Kareen. It's about the world. I think he says something to the effect of, "You thought this was about Korean, then you're stupider than I thought, or then you have no idea what's
I
going on."
think that Kishimoto saw this fucking truck headed toward him, of knowing that the dialogue of "You could have saved her. Why didn't you save her?" and just how much like wood flavored wood it would taste like. And he tried to swerve away from that car with that. And the results are kind of hilarious. And with the down bad thing, one thing I need to add to this, and I know that eternal childhood would ever love is like a romantic theme, and you can enjoy that if you do. I am not in the business of really giving a fuck.
I don't even mind it as a motivation.
This 30 to 40-year-old man, the more you make his murder quest about this girl, the funnier it is for me to just see this guy that's been paying, or I guess dodging ninja taxes for 25 years, talk about his high school non-girlfriend.
Well, that's exactly my point, because I could buy the high school non-girlfriend as a motivation for, like, I'm going to stage a secret takeover of Konoha and humiliate Kakashi and all of my other, all the other people who suck. Like, if the stakes were more personal and his plan was, like, a little bit more, like, we're up here, we're going to take it down here, just a little bit, let's gauche, right? Then I could buy it. But I think Kakashi killed my middle school crush, so I'm going to erase the concept of individuality. That's maybe just a little bit pushing it.
It's so fucking funny. Oh, man. I guess that's the level that a school shooting plays out at when you have wizard powers.
Yeah, I guess so. Fuck me,
In
man.
terms of that wordless flashback that works, and to a lesser but notable extent, Kabuto's flashback that works. The second theorem I was going to point at here is I shit on a lot of shonen stuff for flashback spam, the feeling that it derails things, the feeling that it adds nothing. I have to put an asterisk against that critique in Naruto, because he kind of just gets stories better during flashbacks.
I was thinking about that.
Like, he can just pace them at a natural rate inside the... I don't know if it's some kind of editorial mandate or something.
You know what my theory about that is?
Lay it on me.
There's no jutsu expositing in any of these flashbacks. I don't think. No one pauses for, an entire chapter at a time to go into how this aspect of the Sharingan, skill tree works.
Yeah, only
It's
Minato
just,
really gets that.
Yeah, I think that's it. And for the most part, all these flashbacks are just about, what happened to these characters and why they got to where they are. And God, like, you think you could just do that, in the story too, like this taking place present day, present time,
Yeah, on Mars they call that a narrative, and on here in late Naruto it's called a special treat. It's a sometimes food when you get a story.
Just God, it's just so fucking like he knows how to do it. He can do it if he wanted to.
Yep.
Okay, should I be blaming like the Shonen Jump model of like he's got to be Charles Dickens about this, right? And just like crank out as much stuff and just like as many chapters as you can like stretch the story out into. But like, no, I don't know.
That's one of those Donald Rumsfeld unknown situations. For all I know, he had the gentlest editor on the earth, like a man that would just put his hand on his shoulder every day and say, "That jutsu acquisition was okay, but next time let's dial it back just a skosh, okay, buddy?" Like, he could have had someone who was totally dialed into what was working and not working here, and then gone off his own fucking way. I speak to it too much.
Yeah.
Their tendency to, staple gun authors to a chair and scream more is very funny to riff on, however, and I'm sure that did something at some point here.
The thing is that even if he was staple gun to a chair, right? We still have our pretty girl to kind of point at here, right? We still have a manga that is I think at like 1,200 chapters now, 1,300 maybe at this point, and is still really good and never had to fucking do any of this shit. And it's One Piece, and like you could go on for ages and not have the entire fucking thing, or not have so much of the thing be expositing about the fucking power system. Like, you could, you don't need to do that. It's not necessary.
Well, again,
you could just have it be a really big story.
Again, it looked at the diagram of speed chess and making shit up, and it chose. And boy, are we making shit up in One Piece. And it's fun.
And it's great, yeah. I want to talk about Neji.
Let's talk about Neji. Because there's something.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about, the concept of something being technically correct, right? If you are a Cylon who has a sort of cheaply done OpenAI coded concept of character growth and empathy, him sacrificing himself for Hinata and Naruto right there. So it's like, yes, character arc.exe is completed. Before, he was unsympathetic to her, and now he has learned to get over being mad. And I am here, watching what is basically like the closest this fucking series gets to like a slavery situation. And he just jumps in front of that bullet for Massa. Be happy. I regret that I only have one life to give for the Hyuga plantation. And I'm looking at what they did to my boy. I'm looking at how they slaughtered my boy. Also, if you want me to be a bit more prescriptive and, fair money if this is the kind of thing you dislike.
Mm-hmm.
But within that sort of tight thematic set of you have the Master Clan, the Junior Clan, someone giving their life here, it would have, even if you had to like quadruple stack the fake out sacrifice, it would have meant way more for main branch dad guy to give up his organs for Neji at that interval.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that we don't like him. There's a chance that we might like.
Oh, you're right. That
Neji.
Would be like a thing where someone in a story, like their circumstances and experiences change them, and then they are a different person because of those experiences, and they make a choice as a new person. But that sounds really complicated, and I think it's.
It sounds like he just didn't have fucking time for his ass. We had the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist that we had to like stuff into this fucking arc.
Fucking Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. Okay, I'm gonna get some metalhead hate mail. I'm just gonna dive into this. So people talk. I'm a big metalhead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people talk. Oh man, thrash metal was such a great age. You had Anthrax. You had Metallica, you had Megadeth, you had Slayer is not as good as the other fucking three. I don't know what the fuck. Why are we addicted to number 4 here? No one gives a fuck about the Seven Swords of the Mist. Stop trying to make it happen. It's not going to happen. Kerry King can barely play guitar. And here I am in fucking Naruto, and Suigetsu is shouting, "Fucking Slayer, man!"
I weep for your inbox.
As long as we make these sacrifices, there is no rust in peace in the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. Okay, that's you like this. I call it. You like the song "Rain in Blood"? Fine, that's Zabuza. Zabuza is the song "Raining Blood."
It's over now. Okay. Remember when we did Legend of Korra?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got to book 4, and they needed to scrape some artificial drama together for the big finale, and the cheapest, easiest, fastest way to do that is by killing someone off. But they would not dare fuck with a character anyone actually liked. Like, enough fans would hate that, and it would draw too much attention to the reason they did it, which is because, like, cheap drama. And so what they did is they went and they found Asami's dad, and they made a perfunctory effort to convince us that we should care about what happens to him, before finally giving him a slap on the ass on the way to meet the Reaper. And that is what Neji's end feels like. Right after Shikamaru and Ino's dad's someone's it's like their number comes up, right? Their number came up. It's like, all right, sorry Neji, sorry Shikaku. Sorry, Ichi. It's you've been characters with designs and maybe personalities, and maybe people like you, but I don't think any of them are fans. So we risk nothing by killing you. We get maybe a little bit of heartstrings. So Alexa, play "See You Again" featuring Charlie Puth.
The thing about that whole situation, Sam, is who can say where the road goes?
Theirs is not to reason why. Theirs is but to do or die. Into the Valley of Death Road, Neji, Shikako, and Inoichi.
The Inoichi one is probably the funniest. Because Ito's life sucks kind of hilarious amounts of dick in Naruto.
It does.
I don't know what she did.
Well, I know one thing that she did.
Oh, yep. Come back to cry. She always just comes back to get dicked over in some way. It's kind of great. Which brings me to a point I've been saving. Because we talked about all this stuff that happened. All these interesting bits. All these not so interesting bits.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if you notice something. What proper noun has not come up in our discussion here?
Oh no! Oh girl, I'm so sorry.
We legitimately get more of Ito than Sakura in this one. She is... If she was getting buried before, she is subterranean.
She's basically not even there. Oh man, fucking, she's ostensibly a main character, and like, fucking Hinata gets more big moments in this bit than she does.
Yeah, Hinata gets a little cheek slap thing where she gets possessed by someone. If Hinata could only pull the "but today I'll be strong for love" thing like 3 times before, I just kind of think that maybe she has a personality disorder or something and really likes this kind of attention. But
yes, you're not wrong. I have another perspective about Hinata, which is, I swear to God, I don't, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm wrong. I swear to God, I don't actually think Naruto has ever spoken a single word to Hinata in this entire fucking series, and it is the funniest goddamn thing. Like, I only ever remember him staring at her bug-eyed and completely dumbfounded by whatever the fuck it is she's telling him, like, just at any given moment of interaction. And I have this theory that Kish is just really uncomfortable writing relationship arcs, so he kind of just half writes them instead. Like, he half writes the Sakura and Sasuke one. He half writes the Naruto and Hinata one. All of the other pairings that end up becoming canon seem to just be one interaction that those two characters have, and then the rest happens off screen. It's just, I don't know, just the blank Naruto stare whenever Hinata's talking is just, that is what their relationship arc is to me. Just him. It's like she's talking another language and he's trying to understand what...
One Piece has that whole legacy gag where Luffy doesn't really get relationship stuff. He's borderline ace or some shit. And this is like an accidental version of that, where it's ostensibly a bit of a romance. There's supposed to be this frism that builds between them, and he is always just staring at her like, what's this blind lady talking to me about?
It's like it's Kish who doesn't seem to get it. I mean, also Naruto.
Oh, here's a little interesting thought. Mm-hmm. We've had all this bullshit with the Sharingan, the Rinnegan, people retroactively getting them as they climb up the relevance scale. Does the Byakugan suck if it's using up an inventory slot that could be used for your free Sharingan?
I don't actually remember what Byakugan does.
The Byakugan gives you basically 360-degree vision, and you can see chakra lines that let you do wushu karate.
That's it?
Dude,
That's
inflation in Naruto is fucking crazy.
Like, Sasuke can summon a fucking Gundam. You're gonna have to do better than that, guys.
And people are kidnapping these Byakugan kids to try to get this power that's basically replaceable by, like, I don't know, maybe a telescope, maybe bring a guy with you. Like, just someone to watch your back, make sure you don't get jumped from behind.
Find a guy, pull him off the street. He probably has a Sharingan eye. Like, law of averages. I think, like, it might take you, like, 2 or 3 tries, but, like, on the 3rd try, at the very least, you will have grabbed someone who has Sharingan.
The diffusion is crazy. It's like this is their nuclear problem, is just these eyes are bouncing around.
It's like the economy getting flooded by bad bills.
Yeah. Maybe the ocular powers in this are their fucking NFT rush, and everyone's just trying to rush in to get in on this action. Meanwhile, you know, the classic core Sage mode economy is in the background, but no one's really investing in that because they want something flashy in the pan.
Jesus.
I'm stuck on the Sakura thing, by the way.
I shouldn't pity a character. I shouldn't be pitying this character. It's wrong. I feel wrong. I know it's not my fault, but, like, I feel wrong.
If I could combine sort of our threads here between the old cannibalizing the relevance of the young in Naruto and Kishimoto Gender Watch, there's a bit of overlap here. Because Tsunade's whole power progression insertion thing scalps a bit of that from Sakura, but there is much less to go around.
And she does this while also getting literally
getting cut in half. I have never seen someone's power-up rant be interrupted by the main villain saying, "Tsunade, you specifically suck. I want to take a break from talking about darkness to say that."
to say how much you suck and explain why.
I think in that 10 chapter stretch, it is actually the only part where he's not talking about himself or testing jutsu. Is just saying what a fucking washout that he thinks she is. And then she has her power so to prove him wrong, and then she gets impaled.
And cut in half. Off panel, even.
Putting that after the whole, any white mage that stands in front is a moron, except, it hurts so much! Truly efficient burial. The Madara-ing is a black hole. Man.
Fuck.
One thing I do want to underscore from this whole conversation, by the way, because I think you just brought up a good point, and I didn't have too much to add to it, I just think it's worth putting as a premium thing. There really is something to the whole Danzo being a good, just thematic, tonal character fit for a final checkpoint for this series. It would have been doable. It is a problem that is just exacerbated or even turned into a problem by how much urethral pain Madara's whole shtick gives me.
The other part of that problem is that Kishimoto keeps rewriting the series backstory to he basically just keeps retconning the backstory in such a way that Madara is behind everything, right? But Danzo already is. He already had that with Danzo, right? There's so many bad guys in this series, like Pain and Kabuto and Itachi and like whoever, who existed and were doing their bad guy stuff, even if Itachi was not. In fact, I mean, like, no, he was until Kish decided he wasn't. Let's keep it real here. Like, they're all doing their bad guy shit and are, because of Danzo. And I don't know, he already had his fucking, like, dude who is behind everything. I'm so mad. About it.
It is kind of mystical. It is kind of mystical. And yeah, I think that you have that beat in the Kabuto thing where you realize, oh, this guy's whole devil routine did have a nice place here. And it actually is even a more natural fit to this thing's overall thoughts about warfare. Kishimoto has some very sane thoughts about, hey, what if we didn't? Danzo destroying and whistling the CIA theme song. They have one. You don't know it, but they have one in the office. And just said, I'm gonna do it again.
I actually think it's March of the Pigs. They play it at
Amazing.
Gizmo.
Anyway, thank you all for listening to some of my belated thoughts on the Madaring. I think they have been bubbling in the back of my head since 2009, 11, whenever this fucking originally came out. And now I am free. Now I can be a person. Now I can move through the world 10% saner. And that 10% means a lot. It is the performance difference between me hitting deadlines and me just sort of staring at a screen at 3 a.m. going, why the fuck didn't he just use the one-eyed guy that had, like, relevance and shit?
Why didn't he, Denard? Anyway, this is Weeaboo Hell. It's Weeaboo Hell.
I know a lot of you, again, have these great childhood memories of, wow, this Madara guy is the toughest, and it's okay to have been dumber at another point in your life. Some of us eat glue, some of us do drugs, some of us stay on 4chan a few too many years. You liked Madara. It's fine. We all voided ourselves once in the cribs. I'm a really pleasant guy. I just bring the sunshine with me throughout each step.
Contempt is a stranger to you.
This has been Weeaboo Hell.
It is Weeaboo Hell.
Peace.
Okay, so I had a whole conventional stinger planned, but this Eric Adams thing just broke, and I actually just want to, just talk to him, black man to black man, and I wanted him to know that when things are down, when it looks like there is no hope, Eric. You are doomed. Suck shit.